All right, guys, what's going on? It is Labor Day, actually, and life's at work was trying to figure out what I was gonna do with my day and then realized I haven't made a YouTube video in a really long time, so I figured I'd take you guys along with me as I do kind of my... Sorry. Take you guys along with me as I do kind of my little morning day off light routine. We're going to walk to the gas station, get the best cup of coffee in the world for the best price in the world at the current time. And then we're gonna walk to the grocery store to get some ramen. Then we're gonna come home, cook that ramen, and that's gonna be our lunch for today, the ramen. It is almost noontime, so ideally here in Florida, it's not the best time to be walking. Oh, but I'm doing all of this on foot, by the way. It'll be about a 5-mile endeavor there and back, which is, it's not crazy or anything like that. But with the Florida heat, it's definitely not going to be super enjoyable. It's Labor Day, so it's September. Here in Florida, things don't really start to cool down, or at least not be as hot until October. So we're just gonna tough it out. I really like the walking. It's a good form of exercise, and it's kind of meditative too in nature. You get lots of sunlight. I think I already said this, but full body exercise. And it's not like you need a gym membership or anything like that to be able to afford it. So without further ado, let's get started. But first things first, we had some family over last night for dinner, and as you can see, lots of dishes. So I'm gonna put these away and then we'll start our walk, okay?
No tomorrow.
I'm not the best dishwasher packer, but we've got a lot of items here that take up a lot of space. So even though there are some dishes left over, I think I'm just gonna set this to run, and then I'll probably have to do a second load. I have to be careful about not putting the cups too high up on the shelf, because then my wife can't reach them. That's definitely her cup. If I put it here, she could probably reach it. If I put it up there, definitely not, and forget about it if I put it up there. Taking my creatine gummies. I'm not gonna tell you that that brand is like specifically the best brand for creatine gummies. I just like them, they seem to work well. I usually take 3, that's about 15 milligrams, I think. Nine grams. I eventually want to get to the point where I'm doing like workout videos in our garage, but we've been living here for about less than a month, and so the garage still very cluttered. So we'll get to a point where we can hopefully do some stuff in here. I gotta put stuff up on those racks right there. It's just a matter of which boxes are gonna prove to be essential for, unpacking. I think it's majority holiday stuff, mostly Christmas stuff, and then some kitchen stuff. So once I get all that sorted out, I should be able to do some like workout stuff. All right, we've taken our creatine, got my water right here. It's in the Helix shaker cup. This is my favorite Helix shaker cup. It's purple, and then I mix matched it with a different top, which is like a neon green. Kind of reminds me of like a COD Zombies aesthetic. Plus it's close to Halloween. It's probably my favorite holiday. And so yeah, definitely gonna need to hydrate for this walk because we stand to sweat a lot. It's been absolutely miserable here in Florida with the heat. And as someone who's lived here my entire life, I really do not think that there's anything anyone could do to prep for it. But just got the pool now at the new house, and definitely been making use of it to try and help cool off this summer. Here, you guys want to go outside? Got the pool, pretty nice and quiet. I guess it's called a pergola. I don't know. I don't think we'll be jumping into the pool on camera today. However, yeah, probably not. Probably walking the distance that I'm gonna walk is gonna be way too exhausting and plenty of sun for today. Before I leave the house, I usually like to go onto YouTube and turn on some sort of themed ambiance. It's obviously close to Halloween time, or as far as I'm considered, it's close to Halloween time with it being September 1st. We usually decorate our house in August, but we'll just throw on a little Halloween ambiance so that when we come home, it's not dark and empty and, or quiet and empty rather. And if you don't really know what to put on TV for the sake of like background noise and I don't know, you're just kind of blanking like I am right now, put on an ambiance on the TV screen, fireplace, whatever, music, no music. It's up to you, but it's pretty nice to come home to. All right, we're just about ready to go. You know, 3 things that I never, or I try to never leave the house without is my crucifix, necklace, my wedding ring, and a knife. Usually it's this one because it sits in my waistband pretty comfortably. And yeah, I don't know. You never know when you're gonna need a good knife, you know what I mean? All right, here we go. Just gotta lock the door real quick. I think I've got the sound dialed in such a way to where it shouldn't, you know, the background noise shouldn't affect your guys' listening too much, but as we go. All right, I think we've got things dialed in as far as brightness goes and as far as wind interference goes with the microphone. If I indeed, in fact, don't have it dialed in, I apologize in advance. All right, so, you know, going on a walk, it's not a bad idea. You know, we spend so much time inside that it certainly can, it can kind of get away from you how long it's been since you've been outside. Why is it good to go outside? Well, you get good vitamin D from the sun. It's good exercise. Contrary to it being uncomfortable, sweating out all these toxins, not like being here is in a sauna or anything like that, but sweating is good. It helps to get rid of excess sodium, maybe some moisture that's just sitting on the surface level of your skin, you know what I mean, clear up that kind of stuff. But it's also a good way to just kind of like slow down, relax, clear your mind, and reflect on things worth reflecting on. Now, is that the past? Is that the future? Who knows? But I think I always have enjoyed going for a walk because it kind of forces me to be down to earth. I mean, obviously you're walking alongside the earth, but you know, it's something that's just, I can't really explain it. It's especially when you're walking to a location to get something like a drink or a snack, it's kind of like primitive, you know, it's kind of like your body, your mind, your soul helps to get reset back to what's really important. You know, we're always getting wrapped up in things in life that in hindsight really aren't as important as what we think that they are. You know, I think right now, 2025, September, things are definitely very stressful for a lot of people, and it's very chaotic, a lot of uncertainty, and people are just upset about a lot of different things. Which, I mean, is really no different from any other given point in time. Just the topics of thought and conversation have kind of changed, but things currently seem to be a little bit more hectic for individuals than what they were maybe a year or two ago, or 5 years, or who knows. It's all dependent on who you are and what you got going on. But what I'm trying to say is going for a walk is very therapeutic, and I encourage you guys to try it. I would start out with, if you're not a very strong walker, I would start out with about 1 mile a day, or 1 mile every single time that you go for a walk. You know, it doesn't have to be far, literally. It just has to be kind of like far for you. Far enough to kind of get your mind going, or far enough to turn your mind off. You'll notice that I have my headphones on, and the reason why that is because I'm probably going to stop recording here in a few minutes once I'm done chatting, because I know you guys don't want the whole video to just be me yapping. But I like to listen to music when I do these walks, and on occasion I'll listen to a podcast. When I was in college, I would listen to my lectures while going for a walk in between studying. And so you might think to yourself, well, why would you listen to lectures after studying? It's, you know, you're not really giving your mind a break. And I could see how you would think that, but the thing is when you're studying, if you're a student watching this right now, you know, school just started for a lot of people, but when you're studying, you're actively trying to retain the information. You're voluntarily listening to the words on the paper or in the textbook to try and memorize them, the material, so that you can pass the test. But when you go on a walk and you record the audio lectures, or record the lectures, and you listen to them while walking, you kind of subconsciously download the information into your brain, because even though you're not really listening, you are listening, whether you realize it or not. It's already getting hot. And it can serve to benefit you when the time comes for you to take a test, because usually there's some sort of trigger, there's some sort of key phrase, word, or what have you that you read on the test that harkens back to the audio lecture that you listen to while you're on a walk. And I do think there is something to be said about being on a walk, you know, just perpetually putting one foot in front of the other, that kind of helps to help your brain grasp the information a little bit more effectively, even though you're kind of involuntarily listening. So walking's good for studying, but yeah, I've always gone for walks. I mean, that's just a way to kind of de-stress, and good full body exercise. Good if you're trying to lose weight. It's a good way to lose weight too. I think that bodybuilders and people who are like trying to get ready for a competition, they usually on average walk anywhere from 5 to 15,000 steps a day, depending on where they're at in their bulk or their cut, or you name it. So, you know, if that's your goal, maybe you want to work your way up to about 5,000 steps, which I believe is approximately, for most people, 3 miles a day. Which I was doing 3 miles a day pretty routinely when I was in college. Didn't have any money and didn't really have any other way to kill time. So even when I wasn't studying, I'd go for a walk, listen to a podcast. You can also listen to music, but kind of my point with this discussion is when you're walking and you're listening to something, you're absorbing it. So do you want to absorb like the mindless song that you're listening to? Like, I'm not bashing anyone's music, but like, you listen to the song, sure, you're gonna memorize the words, that's cool, and then you can like sing the words if you're at a party and everyone's like, oh, they know this song, wow, that's cool. But imagine, like, let's say you have a dream of opening up a restaurant one day, or you want to become a mechanic, or whatever you want to do. Literally just pop on an hour-long podcast and then walk until that podcast is done, and it's kind of going to serve to be like a little mini college course, because you're listening to experts talk about their craft that is going to feed your passion that you clearly have to become whatever it is that you're listening to. So it's like, if you want to be an entrepreneur, which seems to be a very hot theme these days, pop on a podcast where they have, you know, an incredibly rich individual, and listen to what he has to say about, you know, what it takes to be rich and the habits that it takes to be successful, whether it's discipline, time management, ambition, all that good stuff, if you haven't already heard it before. But we're coming up here on 7-Eleven here pretty soon, and contrary to it being almost, I want to say, 90 degrees outside, maybe a little bit cooler, it's harder to tell because there's such a strong breeze alongside the road here. I'm going to get a hot coffee, because if I don't have any caffeine, I'm going to get an incredibly terrible headache, and that's just not going to make for a good day. But I can already feel the heat beating down, and kind of feels good, I'm not going to lie. Like, on one hand, sweating is certainly like uncomfortable, and if you had to choose between being sweaty and not being sweaty, most people would choose to not be sweaty. However, what's nice about being outside, being uncomfortable, is I know that I'm working. I know that what I'm doing is, you know, working. So, yeah. Sing it. Sing it.
That's it, baby. See, you don't appreciate that.
What? What do you mean?
Enough to scare the shit out of you.
You know what the problem is?
One for me. Have a
I'll
good
take
day.
that one though.
We don't got enough people singing these days.
Yeah, right? See you, Trish.
There you go, sunshine. $2.77, darling.
I turned the gain down on the video feed a little bit, so maybe it'll be a little less bright for you guys. I don't know, maybe it'll be too dark, I apologize. But we got our coffee, so first mission checkpoint, a success. And I think I'm gonna cross the street down there instead of over there by the intersection, just a little less hectic. I prefer to only have to worry about 2 lanes of traffic instead of 4. So I'll explain how I make my coffee when I go to 7-Eleven. So we usually have, it's called like a premium blend. That's like their strong blend. And then what I do is it's usually not strong enough for me because I'm an absolute caffeine addict, just like your typical gym goer, caffeine fiend. And I get an additional double shot of espresso and I pour it in there. But unfortunately their premium blend was empty, which is no surprise because that's what everyone else gets. And so I just got their medium blend, you know, the next best thing. Filled it up with a double shot of espresso. Now you might be thinking, oh, if you like caffeine so much, why don't you get an energy drink? That's a valid argument, but the reason why I don't get an energy drink is because it's got a lot of sodium, and specifically because I'm outside like this, I'm gonna try and retain as much, of my fluid as possible as I drink my coffee in the 90-degree weather right now. I know it sounds hypocritical, but the energy drinks are just a little too dehydrating for me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love a white Monster. I mean, who doesn't? But it's a little bit overkill. Plus, the coffee being a little bit hot, because as you can see, I cool it down with ice. But the coffee being a little bit hot is purposeful. That is by design, because it forces me to slip on it slowly. It forces me to make it last. Whereas if I just slam it, like I would inevitably do an ice cold white Monster energy drink, it's not gonna last very long. And so in some ways, drinking coffee is something to do while on the walk. Look at that lake. Isn't that beautiful? Since we moved up here, one thing that I will say for certain, aside from that dog barking in the background, it is pretty nice, quiet, and peaceful up here. We do live next to a semi-busy road, or our neighborhood rather is next to a semi-busy road, but I don't know. I guess I've grown up by busy roads, so it doesn't really bother me. Coffee's the perfect temperature. There's a nice breeze outside. It's a beautiful day, nice and sunny. Everything's super green because it rained like literally all last week. And there doesn't seem to be anyone else on the walk path. It's really nice living somewhere that has like specifically a walk path or bike path, because you don't have to worry about like sharing a more narrow sidewalk. I am being a little bit of obnoxious with like my, tripod stick here, acting as like a selfie stick, but I'm respectful of it. I don't really see a whole lot of bikers, which is weird. It's a holiday. Usually you'd see like a lot of people biking up and down this path, but maybe because it was Monday and we already had Friday night, Saturday morning, Sunday morning, people are kind of biked out, and so they might be doing something else this Monday. I think there's a big boaters community around here, so people are out fishing more than likely, or boating, or probably out on the water. Down here in Florida, Labor Day weekend, 4th of July, all those kind of like, I don't want to call them lesser holidays by any means, especially 4th of July, but people, Memorial Day, people, they hit the water. So me, I go for a walk and I drink hot coffee. So I'll see you guys as we get closer to Publix. I'm going to listen to a podcast and just focus on my pace and breathing. All right. All right, that's where we're going, to that Publix right there, local grocery store chain here in Publix. I've been walking for a little over an hour, I think, which leads me to believe that my directions were not accurate as to how far this walk would be. But we're almost to our destination. But I am kind of dreading the walk back a little bit, as it only serves to be equally as long, but as we get later in the day, it'll get progressively hotter. So it gets to be like the hottest possible degree out here in Florida around like 3 o'clock. It's almost 1. I should be close to being home by 3. So I think we'll be okay. All right, we have pretty much made it to almost our destination. We just have to cross this intersection, which it is a busy intersection, so I'm just going to wait until the light indicates that I can cross. Made it this far. It's probably about, honestly, the map said it was going to be about 2 miles, but I'm pretty sure we're like 2.5 miles. Or so it felt like with this heat. But it's good exercise, like I said, and this is my first time doing this kind of walk, if you will. Trying to get into a routine now that we live in a new location. Got to develop a route, if you will. And the difference between this one and my old one from where we used to live is there's a lot more like open areas, a lot more sun exposure. I am surrounded by trees here. There's like plenty of nature, if you will, but a lot of the path is not exactly shaded. So especially this time of day when it's noon time and the sun's at its highest. Sorry, I think I'm getting a little heat stroke. It's a good thing that we're about to walk into the grocery store here shortly. AC should cool me off pretty quickly, because I'm absolutely covered in sweat. I don't know if you guys can tell. It's more worse on my back than it is on the chest and stomach area, but the AC should hit my shirt, which is pretty much close to being drenched, and I should cool off pretty quickly. I just finished my coffee and feeling pretty good. Definitely tired, but we're just about at the halfway point, which is like mentally reinforcing, because it's like, well, I've made it this far. I just need to do it one more time and I'll be back home, except I will have gotten some sun. I'll have the satisfaction of having exercised for the day, sweating out all the sodium from last night's dinner. My wife made pan-fried, parm-crusted chicken fillets, or chicken breasts that she hammered flat. They were so good. And then she also, for the side, she made some creamy Alfredo and basil gnocchi, which, if you guys don't know what gnocchi is, it's a pasta, but instead of being made from like flour and eggs, it's made from potatoes. And it's very soft, it's very doughy, almost kind of like goopy, like gooey. It still holds its texture really well, but it's just a really good food, and not quite as high in gluten as actual pasta, which I've been trying to minimize my gluten intake just to see if it, I don't know, makes me feel any better. Not that I feel bad or anything like that, but it's nice to try new things every once in a while. And so that was really good. And then she baked these brownies, which they're just Ghirardelli brownies with the Ghirardelli brownie mixture. But it was like ultimate chocolate brownie. They were buy one get one at Publix this past week, so we bought 2 boxes. The other box we bought was like a brookie, which is like a brownie cookie mixture, but she made the ultimate chocolate one. And then we got like chocolate fudge frosting from the bakery at the grocery store. Just the frosting, they put it in a container for us and you can buy it. And then you bake the brownies, you let the brownies cool on the counter, and then once they're cool enough, you put them in the fridge, and then they get nice and cold. I really like my chocolate cold, my cakes cold, desserts cold, obviously. Not a big pie fan, but I'll eat it depending on what kind of pie there is. And then I icinged the brownies, but she told me to like icing them very thickly. So honestly, like the brownie layer is probably about that thick, and I probably put about like that much icing on it, like no joke. And so it was just a chocolatey, gooey deliciousness with some Fairlife milk. It was a really good dessert, really good dinner last night. It's always good to have family over. You know, you guys shouldn't, I don't know if you guys live near your parents or if you have any siblings or family that lives near you, but by all means, you guys should try. Should try to get together at least once a week and have dinner together as a family, so that you guys can, you know, have those memories to look back on. The fact of the matter is not everyone's going to be here one day, you know. So not to get too gloomy. All right, about to walk into Publix. Here goes nothing. This is the pasta aisle. Did I miss the ramen? Maybe it's in the soup aisle. That would make a lot more sense, wouldn't it? All right, question is, do we get top ramen or maruchan? Top ramen looks like it's 2 for $3, so that's what we're gonna be getting. Let's see if I can grab this with one hand. All right, time to check out. We got our ramen. We got 2 packs. Each pack has about 8 squares or whatever, I think, maybe 6. So you figure that's about, let's say it's 8. That's at least 4 days, because I usually eat 2 blocks at a time. I usually never eat more than that on a daily basis. I don't even eat ramen on a daily basis. Not that you would want to do that, but that should hold us over for a decent amount of time. And additionally, it's only $3, so that was a good deal. And then the coffee was only like $2 and some change. So as far as breakfast and lunch goes, which yes, I am going to consider my coffee and my ramen breakfast, and then ramen's the lunch, for less than $6 for the day. So you really can't beat that, especially when you take into consideration that in sourcing both of those things, we exercise. It all comes back to the walking and getting some sun. And so now we have to cross that intersection again, and we have about a 2.5 mile hike, if you will, back home. So, gonna continue to listen to some YouTube videos, and yeah, see you guys in a bit. Okay, finally walking home. I'm gonna take a seat in the living room, drink some water, relax for a minute, just kind of catch my breath, and then off to the next thing. Here's the real test to see how much sun I got. Ready? Oh man. I'm pretty sure my body went into some sort of heat stroke related shock after that walk. I don't know if you can tell, but I've gotten a lot of sun. But now we're gonna cook our ramen that we spent all day harvesting, and I have high expectations for this. I think it's gonna be the best tasting ramen I've ever had. absolutely would not usually eat 3 packs of ramen. That's kind of insane. I'm only gonna eat 2 flavor packs, but 3 packs of noodles because I like didn't eat a lot when I came home from the walk, but now I'm like quite starving, and so yeah, 3 noodles sounds like a good idea. Why not? I don't have to eat all of it, but I probably will. Breaking out the fancy golden fork.